Hello everybody, my name is X Factor, and this video is going to require some community participation. Let's imagine you own and have in your fingers the world's smallest and saddest violin. Start playing the song of your people, because this is going to start off pretty sad. Most of you guys realize that I stockpile footage when I'm recording. Battlefield 4, Rainbow Six Siege, The Division, whatever it may be. I had enough footage for 5 to 7 old school commentaries, tips and tricks and thought processes, and 3, maybe even 4 battlefields. You're probably wondering, well, where were the videos over the weekend? They got gobbled up, gone, eradicated. I have no idea what happened. The drive is perfectly fine. They're just gone. No hint of a single file in the recycle bin on either of my computers, because my computers are networked. Not even a hint or breadcrumb of the Sony Vegas files that you see once you start editing things. When you drag a file into Sony Vegas, it makes these little extension files, right, to kind of remember your cuts and chops and all that stuff. Those are gone, and those are tiny files. Nothing in the recycle bin, nothing anywhere. And the crazy part of this is when I organize my footage, I alt-tab after rounds usually, and I'll give a file a quick name. Sick RPGs, dankest RPGs in the land, mate. And then I'll drag it into the Battlefields folder. Or if I think I can commentate over it, if I think there's some lessons to be taught or things to be talked about, thought processes, I'll drag it into the commentate folder. And they'll sit there until I start editing them. So there's about 500 gigs of footage in 2 separate subfolders. Battlefields subfolder and the commentate folder. Gone. No idea. Maybe the beans and turkey had a raid on Daddy's computer, but I highly doubt that. I even went so far as to check my permissions and the health of the drive, and everything is perfectly fine. So long, sweet Battlefield footage. You'll probably never see the light of the internet again. So okay, now we can be done with the world's smallest and saddest violin, because I'm sorry I didn't have more footage to post for this weekend. I got wrapped up playing The Division and simply didn't have the motivation nor the time, because I spent a lot of my weekend with Mrs. X Factor, the babies, and of course family, and I simply didn't get around to doing some commentaries. I was actually pretty bummed out because there was some pretty crazy footage, and most of you guys that watch my live streams, it was some of those moments that were simply going to make their appearance on the YouTubes. So how about we actually talk about this round? Sunken Dragon actually is a pretty fun map to play, but the first set of MCOMs is completely borked, right? The attackers parachute in, and they have very little defense to play off of, and the defenders actually can push up so far by the parking garage on the right-hand side that they take away the only defense that the attackers really have. And here you see me going old school, feeding the masses with all the C4s. Nom 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 nom. Remember, the C4 has been nerfed a little bit, and this guy's playing a little bit of whack-a-mole, but don't worry, the impact nade will clear me off of my little spot. So C4 was nerfed just a little bit. It takes more to bring down vehicles, and of course it doesn't have the splash or the power that it used to have. Could you have still pulled that off in current Battlefield? Absolutely. If they're crammed in, if they're 2 meters apart, everybody's in that little circle of trust, they're going to eat it. So I really like the second set of MCOMs, and of course the last set of MCOMs is Sunken Dragon. One thing that they could do for this map to help the attackers is simply change the out of bounds on the first set of MCOMs for the defenders. Don't let them push all the way up on the right side to the parking garage, because they've got cover, the defenders do. They look left, and they can shoot all the back side of those containers that the attackers can get to. And besides that, there's not much cover. So this is one of those maps, just like some Naval Strike maps. Either you get that first set of MCOMs within the first 30 seconds to a minute and a half, or you don't. Because then you get wiped, then you get pushed back, and then you're just getting farmed at spawn. So this is one of those maps that I'd put into the, hey, let's fix the first set of MCOMs, just like Naval Strike. A couple of the Naval Strike maps are phenomenal on Rush, if you can get past the first set of MCOMs. Some of them that are wide open, where the attack boats are rolling in, the rib, and of course the hovercraft just get mowed and locked by javelins. And then the people that are using the laws, straws, smalls, and RPGs, that really hurts too. There's simply not enough cover. So it'll be interesting to see how they could possibly rework this, because this map does get quite a bit fun. So one thing that happens when you kind of loiter and linger in a spot, it gives people time to flank you and just basically squad wipe you. And that's the worst thing that can happen in Rush. So this is one of those damned if I do, damned if I don't. Do I hold the position? Do I keep from losing the right flank? Remember, they can be vertical here too, and I get killed from that a couple times. That little sniper heaven up there with the little circle going on, they can shoot down, and you're easy pickings from them because they have the verticality. So that's one thing that makes this really, really tough. On Conquest, this is one of the easiest flags to defend, especially when the water's going. If the water's up, that means people have to swim. They're swimming on the burn. And your pistol is not accurate unless you seriously counter-strafe and stop all of your movement. It actually takes like a full second to press the key as I die to a flashbang. That's something you don't have to see every day. So you got to counter-strafe. So it's kind of a death sentence. You can't use your primary. And when there's this many people, you kind of need to use your primaries. I'm figuring out what I can and cannot shoot through when it comes to this next level. So working with a couple people in the Battlefield VoIP, trying to push, and that's where I mess up. Worst aim ever, NA. I shouldn't have spotted. I should have just gone ADS and mowed those two guys down pretty quickly. This is one of those maps where you can lose your position and you can lose that push in the split second. So I jumping squad several times just to catch a spawn here in the temple and then jump back to my old squad. That's something we used to do in competitive all the time, and that was a cheeky little Juan Dig from the hip. Something you don't see every day. It's usually over their left shoulder. You really need to ADS and not strafe with the Dig, or it's going to punish you. It's a very spicy mistress. So back to the competitive squad hopping. It's something we used to do all the time. It's when you wipe your squad, or there's one guy left and he's not in a good spot. He's pinned. You don't want that spawn, but you also don't want to lose out on all of your positioning. You simply jump into another squad, spawn, then come back to your squad. That used to be like the mini game in competitive. You could potentially, if you were infantry, squad swap 10, 15, 20 times in a single match. It was crazy. Constantly going on. Because the last thing you want to do, is lose that positioning. As this guy was camping behind a filthy more while prone. So here I realize that I don't have the right equipment. I don't have my sandwiches anymore as I get overwhelmed on the MCOM. Telling my team to nade it. Sometimes that's all it takes. Is a nice little nade to get them to get off the MCOM or get a couple kills. So here you see another one of those situations where we've got a recon beacon down. We own some of the verticality, which makes it a little bit easier. But then it's exposed to the Mavs. So probably the best place to put a recon beacon, which is really helpful on this map, is in the actual temple on the top level. Yeah, I can still get Mav, but they got to be able to fly it in there, find it, then of course zap it. And if it's flying that low and that steady, it's easy pickings for people just to shoot. That's one of the best things that you can do is simply shoot down Mavs. Because if you're on C4, friendly C4, that Mav's going to kill you. And probably all your buddies tap dancing next to you. So here we get another set. This is probably last chance set. There's 25 tickets left. And the defenders did a heck of a job. And the swimmers are simply easy picking. So are the shotguns at distance. That's one thing. A shotgun could do work here if it's up close. Not a bad spot for a shotgun. But I prefer things with pretty decent range on them because that's kind of the way Battlefield rolls. There's short range and long range encounters pretty much on every map. Hope you guys enjoyed the old school Battlefield 4 footage. Again, look for the live stream tonight and even more Battlefield footage this week. Thanks for watching, guys.